So I wanted to fit this video in for a few different reasons, and even if you're not interested in the ball, there's some good stuff here, so stick around. First, I don't get around to comparisons much anymore. I just unfortunately don't have the time to get to everything I want to get to, but this was a bit of a different story. Brunswick's new alert seems on paper to be very much the IQ Tour Venom shock direction. The core even looks extremely similar to the one in the shock. Similar numbers, low RG, medium-low differential, tour solids, what have you. My experience with the alert doesn't give me those vibes at all. It feels like a fair bit bigger and sharper ball than that, and that's based off filming, then a couple of games of League, and some practice to kind of check it out extra to make sure that I'm seeing it right. But as I've been looking around at other reviews, it seems like my experience is somewhat of an outlier, and that's not terribly uncommon, so let's talk through it. All of us have seen somebody throw a ball, think, man, that looks awesome, we go get one ourselves, and then it doesn't end up being close to the same experience. However, people kind of have unrealistic expectations of reviews or reviewers. They think that we all ought to see and say the exact same things, and if we don't, there's some kind of conspiracy or somebody's lying or whatever. Hutch from the Hype recently put up his own alert versus shock comparison, which I would suggest you checking out because he seemed to get a more representative reaction out of the alert than I did. Brunswick also titled his video, Your New Up the Boards Ball, and I'm sitting here wondering what's going on because my alert's a boomerang. I said in the alert review that I couldn't stress enough that it's not a Brunswick IQ Tour or a Brunswick Venom Shock. I felt like it was a lot closer to Stealth Mode, GB5, and the Rockstars of the world. Now, it does shape like an IQ Tour. I don't have any video to show, unfortunately, but we all know what an IQ Tour looks like, so work with me here. It's the rounder, more continuous shape, which the alert is. The alert is just more strength and a faster move down lane. I haven't thrown an IQ in a while, but I had 4 or 5 of them righty, I've had 4 or 5 of them lefty, I'm quite familiar with it, and the alert is definitely a handful of boards stronger and a fair amount sharper, again, for me. Now in the review, I didn't really expand on why I didn't feel like the alert was similar to the shock, but I think you've already seen that. I have the shock actually a fair amount earlier / heavier rolling, definitely slower and more gradual down lane, and more of an archy directional shape on the back end. If you get more up the back of the alert or roll it more forward, it wants to pick up and climb and continue anyway, where the shock will just go in the direction you roll it. If you get up the back of it and roll it forward, it'll go forward. If you get around it, it'll pick up and chase the opposite corner pin off the deck. The IQ Tour and alert, I think, are a little more forgiving, but the shock, I think, has more utility. Either way, the IQ and the shock have been around forever. They can both definitely coexist and be in the same bag together because they offer what I feel are two fairly different looks in the same general realm of ball reaction. When I think tour-style symmetric control ball, both of them come to mind. The alert, however, doesn't, so let's pull in the stealth mode now so I can show you what I mean. The stealth mode comes out of the box at 1500, which is where I left it, so again, for all intents and purposes, similar enough. It's also, of course, drilled the same. And it does shine up a little bit throughout filming. When we were watching the alert versus the shock, sometimes video doesn't tell the whole story, but here I think it illustrated quite clearly that the alert was cleaner, definitely sharper, and definitely a lot more at home at covering boards. The shock kept the pocket in control extremely well, and it owned second and third arrow, while I was a little more uncomfortable from straighter with the alert. However, when I go to get inside with the shock, it tends to want to be too slow and straighten out on me, much inside of third arrow, but that's really where the alert felt the most comfortable at, and as we are looking at the stealth mode now, this is why I said that the alert felt like a baby stealth mode in the review. If they were the same color, I think you'd almost have trouble telling them apart. The mode is the stronger ball. They look a little closer on video than they actually are. The mode is definitely at least a half ball up from the alert, but the mode still looks here like it's stronger, earlier, and a bit smoother. I wanted to put this out there to clarify and illustrate my point, to show you exactly what I'm seeing and what my experience is, but also say again that I seem to be the outlier in the situation. From what it looks like for everyone else, I think it's a lot closer to being in between the shock and the IQ. It's earlier and stronger than the IQ, a little cleaner and sharper than the shock, but it does seem to be more in that realm for everyone else than it's behaving for me. So no, there's no conspiracy, there's no staffer or ball reviewer hype or angles or whatever else going on here. There's just some different experiences, and again, I'm on the other side of the lane too. Stuff is sharper and more dynamic over here than it is on the right. Typically, I'm closer to everybody else most of the time than I am with this one, though. But if you watch this video, and then you go watch Hutch's video on the Hype, I think you can very clearly see his alert is quite a bit smoother and quite a bit closer to the shock than I have them, and fortunately, I think that shows up well on video. Bowling has a lot of different variables that all affect bowlers and ball reactions quite a bit differently, so anytime you hear differing opinions or conflicting information in different videos, don't just assume that means someone is telling the truth and someone isn't. The vast majority of the time, it's just going to be an actual legitimate difference in experience. That's unfortunately confusing for a lot of people, especially when you're learning. It's like, well, then who do I listen to or who do I watch? And while I recommend watching a number of different reviews before buying a ball, you'll eventually develop a correlation between what a reviewer sees and what you see. And you'll likely find some bowler or some channel that seems to consistently have the same or a very similar experience to what you end up getting when you drill something, or you'll at least have a consistent frame of reference. If you see what I see, but everything just ends up being smoother for you than it is for me, even though it's not the same, it's still a calibration measure that you can use. Now, even if you're not interested in the alert, there's still something to learn and gain from this video, so I hope it helps either by giving you a different perspective, information, some eye training, or maybe just even some extra context for how you should watch and listen to reviews, and why watching more than one can be important and helpful to make decisions on how you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on bowling equipment. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.